Hello, everyone. Welcome to the introductory lecture of ICAS. Myself, Dr. Philomena Fernandez from Modern College of Arts, Science and Commerce. Greetings to everyone. Trade and commerce, how the trade evolved over the period of time. Now let's come to the first topic of ancient trade and commerce, that is inception of trade in ancient India. So what is trade? Trade is nothing but an acquisition, distribution and exchange of goods. Trade had a great impact on the growth and prosperity of a nation. And India has been blessed with the physical environment, having Himalayas in the north, bordered by the water in the south. Coming to the beginning of barter system, trade was carried on initially with the exchange of goods and services between two or more parties. In the beginning of human civilization, barter probably might have arose from prehistoric times. During the Indus Valley civilization, when trade was highly flourishing condition, the ordinary medium of exchange was barter. The Yajurveda records an instance of mutual exchange of commodities of equal value. During early Vedic period, cows were also regarded as a unit of value. There are references made in Rig Veda where a sage is offering an image of Indra in exchange of 10 cows. During the days of Patanjali, barter was a common mode of transaction. People always produced surplus so that they could be traded to their neighbor. So this gave rise to barter system. Bartering is nothing but exchange of goods and services between two or more parties. In the beginning of human civilization, barter probably arose from prehistoric times when man first acquired the knowledge to manufacture stone implements. Moving on from barter to coinage. The first documented coinage is deemed to start with Panchmak coins issued between 7th to 6th century BC and 1st century AD. These coins are called Panchmak coins because of their manufacturing techniques. The coins were made of silver and had images punched over them. During the early Vedic age, coin used by them was known as Nishka. Rigveda contains references of gifts being made in horses and nishkas. However, nothing definite can be said about coins because no coin has been discovered so far. According to Buddhism period, which ranged from 650 BC to 321 BC, coins struck in copper and silver known as karshapanas were in general use. Gold, silver, copper and lead coins were used during Mauryan period. Chanakya, the first Mauryan emperor's prime minister, detailed the minting of coins such as Rupaya Rupa, Suvarna Rupa, Tamara Rupa. Then during the Harappan civilization, there was introduction of standard weights and measures. Exchanges were regulated by a precise system of weights, usually made of a stone called sturt, and generally cubicles with no markings. The lower denomination of weights were binary, while the higher denominations followed the decimal system. The recorded history shows ample evidence that the different parts of the human body were used as a point of reference while making measurement. These were digit, the width of a single finger; foot, the length of a foot; cubit included the length of an arm; hand span, the distance between the tip of the thumb and the tip of the little finger when the hand is fully stretched out. Now, similarly, fathom meant the distance between the ends of the hands of an Anglo-Saxon farmer when his arms were fully stretched out. So we see, students, that human body, like the hands, the foot, the stretched arms, all were used as a unit of measurement. Around 2400 years ago, during Chandragupta Mauryan period, There was a well-defined system of weights and measures. According to this system, the smallest unit of length was 1 paramanu. Small lengths were measured in angles. For long distance, yojan was used. 1 yojan was equal to 10 kilometers. The grain was used also as a unit of mass in 16th century and was equal to the weight of a wheat grain due to their approximate standard size. So in the medieval period, the measurement system was in practice and it has kept on changing over the period of time. Now, students, we are in the 21st century and we follow a standard unit of measurement. We have a proper central bank which prescribes a unit of measurements. We follow the minimum reserve system and we have overcome the various defects of barter system. I hope you have understood this lecture. In brief, more questions will be given in the subsequent lectures. Thank you for listening.
Hello students. We are going to study on the third chapter called Trade and Commerce in Ancient India. And we are going to begin with a subtopic called Agricultural Products in Trade. It's known fact that the geographical location, physical characteristics of the countries influence the economic development of the country at all times. It is also on the basis of physical geography. India was into three parts: Himalayan uplands, Indo-Gangetic plains, and peninsular India. The Himalayas are related to the region of Himawat. Among the Indo-Gangetic plains, the two main areas are the Aryavarta and the Uttarapatha. Peninsular India corresponds with the Dakshinapatha among the divisions. The rich productivity of the region supplied raw material for the flow of trade, and ancient Bengal, lying on the Indo-Gangetic plains, was located in South Asia with coastline of 580 kilometers. When we say that there are deltic plains of Ganga and Padma, Brahmaputra, and Megha, and their tributaries occupied 79% of the country. It had a rich river streams, provided suitable channel for rising trade flow. River system did not only offer waterproof pattern, but also it served a favorable irrigation system. Like agricultural products we see in those ancient times, such as sugarcane, wine plants, oil seeds, and some other yielding pigments grew to considerable importance. And most of these items were supplied raw materials for the manufacture of industrial articles. It is also confirmed by Kautilya, who informs us that the Mauryan government introduced a special agriculture officer called Sitadhyaksa, the director of agriculture, it is called in English if you convert it. His duty was undertake measures for the promotion of agriculture. We come down to the second subtopic of this trade in ancient, textiles and cotton industry. Now, very little has been known till now about the birth of the Indian textile industry, but it has been documented in various citations. And this industry has its origins in the Indus Valley civilization as early as 5th century. The people of the civilization wore hand-spun cotton for garments using indigo colors in their fabric. So the Indus Valley civilization was the center of textile production in India. We also see that during the excavation of this civilization, along with the many figurines and other numerous spindle whorls of wool, anchors, and cotton, and some copper sewing needles were found. If you see to the ancient time, these were the things we found in archaeological way. They also made using advanced techniques like block printing, dyeing, and weaving. Cotton textiles were a major source of income and employment and helped establish India as a major center of textile production and trade. We come down to the third topic, and the third topic majorly sees about precious metals and stone. As India is equipped with so many things, even metals and stones were also found as for jewelry. Like first of all, India's jewelry is a striking expression of country's ancient or aesthetic kind of cultural heritage. For 5,000-year legacy it has. And the limited number of jewelries that have survived from various times and parts of the region references in literature, genealogy, documents, myth, legends, and chronicles provide evidence of unique tradition in the world. That is how even in the ancient Indian civilization to Mughals and reports from J.B. Tavernier, a French gem merchant and a traveler, it is safe to say that India has been a pioneer in the history of gemstones. Indeed, India was the world's sole supplier of gemstones. Now we go to the fourth topic. We say pottery and handicrafts is a known factor. So Indian pottery has been discovered in the early villages of Mehrgarh, dating back to the Indus Valley civilization, somewhere around 3300 BCE, 1500 BCE. It's a cultural art from that is still it is widely practiced in India today. Now, pottery is significant in the study of culture, reconstruction of the past. The style of pottery has evolved over time in response to different cultures. That is how the fifth topic we come back to. So fifth subtopic is livestock and animal products, which is saying that cattle have played a very significant role in trade throughout history. Like today we see technical transportations are very different, but in those times animals were one of the important role player in the trade and transport. So serving multiple purposes, contributed to the economic and social fabric of communities. And in many ancient and traditional societies, cattle were considered valuable assets, so often used as a form of currency for bartering goods and services. They were traded for essential commodities like grains, textiles, and tools, making them integral to the barter economy. Then we say that from the Arthashastra, we have come to know that a state appointed the super kind of cattle Godhayaksa and Samahatra. Now, their duty was to maintain the complete record of the cattle belonging to the state, as if the population of the cattle, we can say, to the state and to the private individuals. It has been mentioned that those who ill-treated cattle, employed them at an improper time, or misused them for carrying heavy loads, were compelled to atone for this serious offense. So it was an offense. We come down to the next topic, subtopic, that is timber and forest produce, which is very popular even today. Forest also played a leading role in the economy of the country. Now, first, it ensured sufficient rainfall in the adjoining lands and made those lands more productive by retaining the moisture. Now, at the same time, they offered food and shelter during disasters. But from the point of view of trade, they provided various products of high economic value. Kautilya has mentioned a significant number of commodities from the forest, such as strong timber like sardaru, then timber of the bamboo type like is venu, creepers were like wali, and fiber plants yielding rope making material, and plants yielding flowers productive of dyes, and medicinal herbs were also one of the known things, and poisonous drugs also were one of the things. I really appreciate being with you for the all 6 subtopics on the trade on various goods and various ancient time products. Thank you very much, students, for getting into this topic with you.
Hello everyone, myself Dr. Philomena Fernandez, back once again with the 4th chapter of the ancient trade and commerce in India. In this topic, we would be studying about the various route that was adopted while going in for foreign trade. So we have the land routes and the maritime route. Now coming to the land route, we have the Silk Route. The Silk Route was a major trade route in the first millennium BC, which connected Asia, Europe, and Africa. It was an important channel for India's trade. Silk Route covered 7 states of India, which passed through Bihar, Jammu and Kashmir, Maharashtra, Puducherry, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, and Uttar Pradesh. This route is supposed to be around 1,500 years. The Silk Road was a network of ancient trade routes that connected India, China, and Central Asia and Mediterranean for almost 1,400 years. Silk Route was not just a route for exchanging goods, it was a vehicle for the exchange of ideas, religions, culture, art, and technology. Merchants traded goods such as silk, spices, tea, ivory, cotton, wool, and precious metals at bazaars along the way. Trade created employment opportunities, grazing grounds, cultivation of crops, and shelters near hot springs. In this map, we see the pathway of the Silk Route starting from China, passing through China, Tibet, India, and passing till Middle East. Then we have the Grand Trunk Road. This ancient road stretched from Chittagong in Bangladesh to Kabul in Afghanistan, passing through major cities in North India like Delhi and Lahore. Then we have the Spice Route, which was also known as Southern Sea Route. This maritime route connected India with the Roman Empire and other regions of the Mediterranean. Spices like pepper, cinnamon, and cardamom were the main commodities traded along this route. We also have Indo-Roman trade route, which connected India with the Roman Empire. These trade routes played a crucial role in the economic and cultural exchanges between ancient India and other regions, contributing to the prosperity of the nations. Coming to the inter-regional connectivity, India had a vast network of roads and ports connecting markets and towns with one another and served as a channel of trade and commerce. The overland connections among different regions, indicated by the itinerary of the Chinese pilgrim Yun San, who came to India in 7th century from across the Hindu Kush and visited various towns and capitals from Kashmir in north to Kanchi in south and from Assam in east to Sindh in west. The route from Kannauj passed through Prayaga and went eastward up to the port of Tampralipti, from where it went along the east coast to Kanchi in south towards the northeast. The northwestern route was the chief channel of commercial interconnection between India and Central Asia in the pre-Gupta centuries. But in the early medieval period, it was largely under the control of Arab and Turkish traders who also used this to bring horses from Persia. There were other regions, routes starting from Bayana in Rajasthan, passing through the desert of Mawar and reached the modern port of Karachi in Sindh. A branch of this route passed through Abu in the western foot of the Aravalli Hills and connected ports and towns of Gujarat with Bayana. Mathura and other places in north and northwestern India. Another route from Mathura and Prayaga proceeded to the port of Broach on the western coast of Ujjain. So these were some of the routes which were used for the trade, international trade as well as internal trade. Rivers also played a very important role in trade. It is a well-known fact that the main civilizations which flourished in ancient times, like the Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, Indus Valley civilization, and Chinese civilization, were all possible because of the ecologically speaking, North India was the ideal place in the world for the development of riverine civilization via agriculture, bounded by the Himalayas in the north and lower mountains on the west, east, and south. Not surprisingly, the Rig Veda, the oldest book of the region, is full of praise of the numerous rivers of the regions, the foremost of which in early ancient time was the Saraswati, which flowed east of the Yamuna to run of Kutch, creating an unbroken set of fertile rivers from Punjab to Bengal. Rivers were used for trade, travel, and communication. Since time immemorial, people from different countries from the world have been using waterways for trade and travel. The Egyptians, Romans, Greeks, French, British, and Portuguese also came to India using the sea route. Water transport in India had reached its zenith in 14th century. The Mughal rulers greatly developed navigation on rivers for trade and passengers. Megustin is mentioned in the accounts of his travels that he sailed on an Indian boat According to his accounts, the Ganga and its 17 tributaries and the Indus with its 13 tributaries were navigable and were extensively used for transportation. However, coming to decline of water transport, after a glorious tradition of thousands of years of Indian shipping, it started to diminish in 18th century with the introduction of railways and road transport. What was unique was its gradual decline due to the stiff competition from railways after 1860. Ancient India had deep trading connections in countries like Cambodia, Java, Sumatra, Borneo, and countries as far as Japan. The transport and communication with these trade centers were mainly through waterways. However, with the advent of British rule, the Indian shipping industry came under brutal competition from the British ships. And it was the sheer discriminatory and unjust practices of the British government that caused the Indian shipping transport to languish. A near monopoly in port to port traffic in India was established by the British shipping companies that remained the major carriers of Indian cargo during the entire British rule. So, this is how students, the Indian shipping saw its death during the British era. Nevertheless, India did have a glorious years of shipping in the past, which we still cherished in today's days. So, thanks for listening and have a nice time.
Hello students. Myself, Dr. Ashwini Joshi, welcomes you all in the journey of IKS, that is Indian Knowledge System. In this fifth unit, we are going to discuss about 6 subtopics. Our topic heading is Rise of Trade Centers and Urbanization. And subtopics are Establishment of Major Trade Centers, Influence of Trade on Urbanization, Infrastructure in Trade Center, Role of Trade Centers in Cultural Exchange, Art and Architecture in Trade Centers, Decay and Migration of Trade Centers. As I said, we are going to discuss about the concept of trade, its impact on urbanization, existence of trade centers during ancient time, major items of exports and imports, position of India in world economy during ancient time, infrastructure available at the trade centers, role of trade in cultural exchange, ancient Indian art and architecture, and over the period of time, decay and migration of trade centers. As we know, economic and commercial evolution of any land depends upon its physical environment. It means on the availability of natural resources. During ancient time, India was gifted with abundance of natural resources, and as such, India has evolved as a major actor in the economic world in ancient times. The most important commercial centers in ancient time were Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, which were found in the 3rd millennium BC. There were diverse types of coins and weighing practices which were followed at different places. The major trade centers developed during ancient period were Patliputra, which was very famous for exporting stones, Peshawar, which was for exporting wool and importing horses, Taxila, which was a major trade center in land route between India and Central Asia. It was also a city of financial and commercial banks. Indraprastha commercial junction, it was a commercial junction where routes from all the sides, north, west, east, south, were convergent. Mathura, which was emporium of trade, Varanasi, place of textile industry and famous for beautiful gold silk cloth. Ujjain, which was very famous for muslin cloth. Surat for its textile with gold zari border. Kanchi for pearls. Even Mathura, Brown, Kaveri Patta, and Tamralipatti all were very famous trade centers during the ancient Indian period, you can say. Due to all such trade developments, India was the largest economy of the ancient and medieval world, occupying about 1/3 wealth of the nation. Hence, India was referred to as Swarna Bhumi and Swarna Deep, that is gold country, you can say. Now, let's see what is the impact of this trade glory of India on its urbanization. Urbanization means what? In simple terms, we can define it as, which is opposite to rural. Means what? It means increased concentration of people and functions of cities covering cultural, commercial, industrial, administrative, and residential activities. The Indian subcontinent shares with Mesopotamia and Nile Valley has a long history of urbanization. The first place of urbanization is associated with Indus Valley, and second urbanization was in the 6th century BC. This was the age of Mohenjo-daros. As trade and commerce began to expand, the areas that lay along the major travel routes or near rivers or fertile land began to develop in urban centers. Thus, trade has a major impact on urbanization. This impact of trade on urbanization can be explained as increased economic status, then development of different trade routes, development of textile centers, artisans' activity, and non-agricultural occupation. The next part of this particular topic is infrastructure in trade centers. Many infrastructural facilities were available in the trade centers during the ancient period. It covers architectural structures such as rock-cut caves, pillars, stupas, palaces, etc. Even the mail service was available during ancient India, and that sometimes used common chariots called the Gana. Even the medical facilities were available through the veterinary hospitals and dispensaries under the Mauryan Empire. The Iron Pillar of Delhi was very famous. Various dams and bridges have been constructed during that period. The glass was used for making ornaments and for casing in the region by the beginning of the Common Era. Even the spinning wheel were available. So all these helped in the development of trade centers, which we have already discussed earlier. The next part of this topic is the role of trade centers in cultural exchange. On the impact of culture, in the impact of trade in the different development of cultural exchange, you can say. Now we'll consider the role of trade centers in cultural exchange. Basically, what do you mean by the culture and the exchange with the help of trade? Trade centers in ancient times have played a great role in the cultural exchange by facilitating not only the movement of people and goods, but also the movement of ideas as they were getting the opportunities to meet for the sale of goods. Trade centers in ancient times, as I said, has helped a lot in the exchange of these ideas and cultures. As traders and merchants traversed vast distances, they carried with them not only goods, but also stories, beliefs, and practices. The Silk Road did not only promote commodity exchange, but also cultural exchange. When European traders traveled to Asia, they brought many culture traits in both directions by relocation and contagion and other methods of cultural diffusion. The Silk Road did only promote commodity exchange, not only promoted only commodity exchange, but also cultural exchange. Buddhism, as one of the religions of Kushan kingdom, reached China. Together with merchant caravans, Buddhist monks went from India to Central Asia and China, preaching the new religion. Trade, as I said, allowed the exchange between Indian and other cultures, spreading Indian beliefs, art, culture, and philosophy beyond its border. New inventions, religious beliefs, artistic styles, languages, and social customs, as well as goods and raw materials, were transmitted by people moving from one place to another place to conduct the business. There are major two kinds of cultural exchange that happened during that period, and that was the exchange and development of religion and language. If we recognize the intrinsic value, the true value that each member of our global community holds, we can better understand one another. If we better understand one another, definitely we can work together for impactful change. The oldest civilization of the world is Mesopotamia civilization. And there are four major oldest civilization of the world as Mesopotamia civilization, Indus Valley civilization, Egyptian civilization, and Chinese civilization. The next part of this session is art and architecture in trade centers. History of art and architecture is about what? It is about the study of images. It is the study of objects and buildings. Ancient Indian art and architecture includes rock-cut caves, pillars, stupas, and palaces and temples. Traditional Indian architecture, in addition to temples and temple complexes, included fortresses, palaces, enormous stepwells, and monuments. Even the water and light are often incorporated in some way into these structures. The most ancient places, such as Harappan, would have been mainly constructed out of brick and wood. Thus, India has got a great history for art and architecture, you can say. Three architectural styles were very famous: Nagara, the Vesara, and the Dravida during the early medieval period. Even it included miniature paintings. It also covers Sanskrit theatre for educating the people and for entertainment. Ancient Indian art was less intricate and complex than classical Indian art. It has used few colors as fewer pigments were available. And sculptures were also found during that period and which were made of bronze, terracotta, or stone. And these pictures were mainly of their daily life and animals. Thus, India is very well known for its long legacy and diversity of form, as well as its heavy religious influence and spiritual influence. All these slides explain about the Indian art, the ancient Indian arts, even 12,000 years ago, or even 2,90,000 years old. So many things our people have made. And all that is covered under this art and architecture. Indus Valley civilization on the border of modern India and Pakistan produced the earliest known Indian art culture, you can say. Shiva sculptures, other deities, huge stone temples like Kandariya, Mahadeva temple built in the 11th century in northern India, even today very famous. However, all these trade centers, all these sculptures, all these art and architecture, they have decayed over the period of time. Why? Because the Silk Route, the Grand Route of India, Roman trade routes, Arab and Chinese trade routes, which were very famous at that time, they have declined its importance due to the development and all-round progress of other things. All these have resulted in the decay and migration of the trade centers. So this is all about the trade, urbanization, its impact on the lives of the people, the ancient art, the ancient architecture, and all the famous things of India for which it was very well known in the world. Whatever topics students I have discussed, all this you can go into details with the references links which I have given over here. Along with this, I have given some frequently asked questions also along with the answers. So you can go through that. Even at the end, I have given 10 MCQs along with the answers, which will definitely help you during your exams. So let's continue, students, with this journey of IKS. Thank you and all the wishes.